Good afternoon, good morning, good whatever it is. This is Valerie Kroll, and that's Robert Ring, and we are Hops and Houses.
We are. It's good beer time is what it is.
Oh, baby, it's beer time this week.
Time for a beer.
Yeah.
Hey, cheers.
Hey, totally. Hey, you got ahead of me. How'd that happen?
I just needed a beer.
We are at Del Cielo Brewing Company in Martinez. It wasn't where we started to go, but it's where we ended up.
Yeah. We meant to go to Five Suns, and then we came here and we saw the big sign that said beer, and we're like, oh, there it is. And we walked in, and this is where we landed.
And it's a very cool place.
Is Five Suns across the street?
I don't even know if they still exist.
The funny thing is, we've been meaning to go to Five Suns for like a year.
And I don't know that we've heard of this place. I've seen the sign out front that said beer, so that's why we went here, because it has a sign out front that said beer. I mean, and it's a big sign.
We'll put it on the B-roll, but I mean,
if
Valerie and I are walking around and we see like a life-size sign that says beer, it's likely to draw us in.
Yeah, but this place is cool. It's like it's got a big long bar, corrugated. It's got that real industrial look to it.
Yeah.
It looks like they built all their. It looks like they built all their furniture here.
Oh yeah.
And it's huge. It's a huge space. And as you can see behind us, they're making their beer right here. Everything we're going to talk about today, they make right here.
Yep.
And I'll turn it around. So, what does it say on? Oh, beer from heaven.
Yeah, beer from heaven. It's hard to see the logos, but if you hold it up close, you can see it. There we go. It's got the little angel wings on there.
Yeah. Beer from heaven. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Good. So, I will start. I'll tell you what I'm drinking today, because I'm just demolishing this right now. This is a Kolsch, and it's their Der Mahler's Kolsch. Does that mean anything, or is that
probably? I've just forgotten more German than I remember.
Okay. So it's a really good Kolsch. Kolsch is a hard beer to make. I've heard from a lot of brewers, and this one is delicious. It's 4.8% ABV. So I like Kolsch's because they're light, they're crisp. It's got a nice flavor profile. This one's got a really nice color, really good flavor to it. And
nice and clear.
I'm picky about Kolsch's now because it's been my favorite beer for like about 2.5 years now. But this one is just done really nicely. I'll give you some of the notes. It doesn't have a strong bite on the end, but there's still a little bit there, kind of like at a bite that you'd imagine from like a high IBU beer. So you still taste just a little bit on the back of your tongue. Just got a hint of maltiness on the front. It's really smooth. It definitely has that crisp, dry taste to it, but it doesn't leave your tongue feeling like chalky. It's not that dry.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a great Kolsch. I mean, all around, this is a really great day drinking beer. That's why I love Kolsch's, because you can drink them anytime, and it's not like drinking a watery Coors Light. You know, it's really got character to it. So we've got another one, but I'll talk about that in a minute. What are you drinking?
What I have here is called, they're calling it their Cerveza Rica, which is their Orale, which is a Mexican lager, but they bumped it up. They threw some everything but tequila. They threw some agave, some lime, and a little bit of salt in it. And quite honestly, this beer tastes like a Mexican vacation. It's what
Can I taste that?
Yeah, it does. It tastes like a Mexican vacation.
No, that's good.
That's hot sand.
Wow.
That's a nut.
What am I tasting on there that's different? There's something different about that that's like really present. It's almost cinnamon, is it? It's not though.
It's probably the agave that's doing that.
Oh, is that?
Yeah.
There's agave in it. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. And then let's talk about this one because this is fun. This is Monkey Balls. I haven't even tried this yet. We just got it for the name. So it's an oatmeal stout with Cocoa Puffs. So.
I mean, how can you go wrong with
Good job,
Cocoa
Del
Puffs?
Cielo, on the naming on this one. This is good marketing.
Let's put some Cocoa Puffs in it.
Yeah.
How is it?
It's really good, actually.
Oh, good. As opposed to Drake's throwing the Christmas tree in the vat.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. Taste that. That's almost got like the light profile you would expect from a Guinness, but there's still some maltiness in there. It's but it's not a heavy stout.
No, it's not. It looks heavier than it is.
Yeah, it looks like a freaking milkshake.
That is a delicious little beer.
Isn't that a good beer?
Very good.
We should both sip on that because there's no way I'm going to finish that. I'm just not a big stout guy, but when I saw the Monkey Balls name, I was like, well, it's got to be in the video.
Well, and on top of that, you never get a stout at 5.5, and that's a 5.5 stout.
Is that high for a stout?
Low.
Oh, it's low for a stout?
Yeah, usually a stout, yeah, I mean...
Well, Guinness is around 5. Depends on where you buy it, right?
Well, remember the Christmas the breakfast stouts we did?
Oh.
Oh, if
Those-
you haven't seen the breakfast stout show, I think that was
Yeah.
actually that was the one 2 days before I had COVID.
Those are breakfast stouts you want to drink before you take a nap.
Yeah, we were buried
knock you out.
after. Go back and look at that episode. Woo!
Yeah, man.
All right.
So what's new since we've met last? Last time we did a live at Ool Lounge in Walnut Creek. Are there any current events that we could talk about that have happened? I mean, I haven't been following the news that much.
Yeah.
Did World War III start?
Well, it's kind of funny. I saw a protest sign that said, "Can we just move to the part where he blows his brains out in a bunker?"
For anyone who didn't get that, that's an Adolf reference to how he died.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, because we got some kind of crazy
It's
going.
just crazy that we're seeing this today. You know, I've said this a lot of times before, just in conversations with friends, but you know, China, North Korea, and Russia are the only countries left on Earth that still believe in taking over land by conquest, where you go in and invade and bomb people and civilians to take over an area. And Russia's the most aggressive with it in the last, you know, in the 21st century, they've taken over Georgia, Crimea, and now Ukraine. Tell me what you think, but you know, the Russian central bank shut down their stock market because their ruble dropped in half, their value of the ruble dropped in half, and they wanted to stop losses, so they shut down the stock market. They've been very heavily sanctioned, even by Switzerland. Do you think Putin anticipated the international reaction that he's getting? And I say that because I don't think that I think we anticipated it, like, yeah, we're doing what we'd expect other countries to do, but you got to remember, like, Putin's done this twice before, and
Gotten away with it.
Gotten away with it. This didn't happen the last two times, and he even got Switzerland to get sanctions, and Switzerland
It's like
has never put sanctions on anybody. I mean, they're very
If
neutral.
you piss off Switzerland,
Yeah, you got to do a lot to piss off Switzerland.
you're doing something
Yeah.
wrong. You need a gut check if you're
Yeah.
pissing off Switzerland.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, that's my running joke. When people want an opinion out of me, I always say, I'm Switzerland. You know,
yeah, totally. A lot of people say that.
Yeah.
Now, if you're Switzerland, apparently you're against Russians. It's not a bad thing.
So
It's not Russians. There's a lot of great Russian people, you know.
Yeah. No.
This is not your babushka around the corner making, you know, pierogi. This is Vladimir Putin.
Oh, that sounds good.
It does, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna go have some of that later.
Pierogies. But seriously, I mean, for normal Russian citizens, I feel for those guys because I can't imagine they're behind this.
I've never met a normal Russian. Have you?
Well, actually, now that you mention it, neither have I. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I know Russians that take shots of vodka at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
There's nothing normal about Russians.
Yeah, if you've ever been drinking with
I like
Russia.
them. Don't take me wrong, but yeah.
Yeah, the minute they get the ice picket and the block of ice with the vodka, get the hell out.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's when shit gets really crazy really quick. So anyway, the interesting thing about that was what we expected from the marketplace. I don't think the marketplace delivered on what you would have expected because it was such a wild card. But here we are, and one of the things we talk about week after week after week is the yield spread, which last time we talked, it popped up to like 205, I think, or 210 or something like that. And then it dropped right back down to 1.95, which was okay, 195, 194.
We're talking about the 10-year U.S.
Yes.
Treasury yield.
Yeah.
By the way.
Which is now down to 1.9.
And the reason we're talking about this, just in layman's terms, it's a really big indication of like where interest rates are going, what the market's doing. A lot of people look at the 10-year to determine, you know, kind of what's going on. So it's right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really important.
It's a very important indicator. So go ahead.
Yeah, so, and the other thing that I'm watching now, because we've got all this capitulation in the marketplace, if you will, is the 2-year Treasury. Because if the 2-year yields more than the 10-year, okay, so the 2-year is at like 1.45 right now, 10 years at 1.90. It's like if they invert, if those yield spreads, yield curve inverts.
Yeah, you have an inverted yield curve.
No.
We've had that before.
Well,
right?
but it did it for what, 2 or 3 days, and then that was it. And that was in what, 2019?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So far, it's not really caused the uproar that people would expect it to.
No, but it hasn't happened currently. So can it happen? Yes. Is that something I'm watching? Yes. I'm watching it very, very carefully. I'm watching that 10-year yield very carefully. But it's like that's all the economic marketplace kind of stuff. When you look at what's happening in our marketplace, what I'm seeing is every week I'm seeing 2, 3, depending on the city. Some cities like Walnut Creek, it's 4 or 5 more houses each week coming on the market, new listings. And in Oakland, it's 10 to 15. And what I'm seeing, so what you would expect is with more houses coming on the market, that your days on the market would start going up. They're not, they're going down.
Interesting. Well, one of the things I think, so let me talk about it from the rate perspective real quick. And I knew this would happen because it happens anytime there's an international crisis, rates go down. And that's simply because institutional investors and other countries find that our treasury and bond markets are safe and relatively low risk. And so during times of international crisis, money pours into our bond market and our treasuries market. And when that happens, specifically when money pours into our bond markets, rates go down. And so I kind of knew that would happen. I told people that would happen. It did happen. It went down about 0.3%. We had some really good days of rates going down, down, down after getting crushed for the last 2.5 months. And then it reversed course today because Jerome Powell came out and said that he is in favor of a 25 basis point rate hike. Basically a 0.25% rate hike instead of
We got a
half.
hashtag for that guy now.
Yeah, FJP. I'll let you figure that one out. And he's saying, and so the concern is now that because they're going to be a little bit slower on raising rates, that it's not going to curb inflation as much, which this whole thing is just really bogus because, right now, the idea, I understand, you have low interest rates, easy access to money, people have a lot of equity, you keep rates low, it contributes to inflation because people's access to money. But what they're not taking into consideration is that really inflation right now, the driving force in inflation are two things. One, the stimulus bill of last year that put a ton of money in people's hands, just flooded the economy with money into everyday things people that shouldn't have happened. And two, gas prices. Valerie and I might disagree on this, but I think that Biden needs to remove the moratorium on federal permits and allow for drilling and allow for the Keystone Pipeline to come back into play, because before he came into office, we were a mass exporter of oil, and now we're not, and we're relying on foreign oil, and there's a huge demand right now, and prices are going through the roof. And if oil prices come down, if we were a mass exporter of oil would be like $2 cheaper per gallon. And this really hits inflation, and it hits home for people when they buy groceries. Everything. Gas prices
everything has to be moved.
Everything. And look, I'm not against the whole idea of merging off of fossil fuels. My personal philosophy on it is just
the Tesla driver.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is that you can't cut it off before the demand is gone, right? So I think we should encourage solar and renewables and electric vehicles without cutting off the supply, because what we're doing right now is we're just hemorrhaging costs. And while Valerie and I might be able to afford to fill, our BMWs and Tacomas, and test, like a lot of people in middle America have a really hard time when gas prices go up as much as they've gone up. And that drives inflation. Truck drivers, how much more do they have to drive to pay to deliver, cartons of milk, pounds of bacon, chicken, meat, all the things that we pay for. And then you got the Fed coming in saying, we're going to try and curb inflation. We're going to curb inflation by fixing the gas problem. That's number one. We can't do anything about all the money we gave to everybody. We can't just take it back. So we really need to hit the gas problem. This is my theory on it. Go ahead.
Well, whenever gas prices go up, I buy stock in gas companies.
Yeah, but you're smart.
And you know what?
I'm not saying other people are stupid, but this is not the way that most of America deals with gas-related inflation.
In a very, very short period of time, I'm up 25%. So Wall Street loves high gas prices.
You were also a broker on Wall Street.
Well, and Wall Street loves high gas prices. It has nothing to do with...
No, they make a lot of money.
Yeah,
I think Exxon just posted massive profits.
Because they're screwing you. That's why.
They're screwing you, but they can because gas prices are... Oil just hit $102 a barrel for the first time since 2014.
Right,
we're at definitely...
Exxon didn't need to make that.
Gas prices are very high right now.
Chevron doesn't need to make that. BP doesn't need to make that.
They're just going to lower their margins because oil's more expensive? They're not going to do that. They're capitalists.
Well, exactly. But it's they're the problem.
No, they're not the problem.
They're the problem.
They're not the problem. Okay.
But
if we lowered the cost of gas prices would go down. If we if we stop,
If
we have a supply problem. If we
how
alleviate the
much
supply
money
problem,
does the head of Exxon make?
Yeah,
like
but you can't-
$62 million?
I know, but when you
Who needs
I
$62
know,
million?
But let's say Valerie's president, and Valerie stops allowing new drilling on federal land, which includes 12 miles offshore, and
Okay.
stops the Keystone Pipeline, which is going to bring in oil from like Alaska, Canada. I don't know.
Someplace.
Someplace. It's going to do something for oil, right? So, and all of a sudden you go from, you're making 125% of the oil needed in America, so you're selling off oil, right? And now you're going to 75% of the oil needed in America, okay? And now you go, okay, well now we have a dearth of oil, we have a lack of oil, so we've asked, Middle Eastern countries who sell us oil to, increase production, and they said no, so what happens? So prices go up. And so now, are you, Valerie, as president, going to say, hey, now what we need to do is tell Exxon to charge less? I mean,
Well-
no, I get it, but like that's just not how markets work. Like that.
Well,
they should charge less, but they're not going to.
They have a couple of levers they can use, and number one is it's funny. He called me a libertarian the other day, which is really kind of true.
It's true. She's a liberal libertarian. She's a unicorn. There's not very many of her.
I know. I think so differently.
I'm kind of a conservative libertarian.
But I kind of think that when your product is a necessity for life,
Yes.
that paying the CEO $62 million kind of, it's like how many people had to get screwed to get that guy that much money?
It's a drop in the bucket.
But I mean, really, 62 for one guy?
Yeah. So what are we going to do, though? I mean,
I don't know what the
I
solution
can tell you
is.
that the immediate solution would be let us, like, we have so much oil in America. Let us use it for now. At the same time, focus on, we're getting
we
into
might need
philosophical
those.
stuff.
Yeah, we might need those reserves if.
We blew through the reserves in 3 days. It's like,
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
no, I mean, but like it was like what? It's like 50 million barrels or something like that.
Yeah.
It was a really small amount for the amount that we used, but like, all we need to do is just allow the oil to be used. At the same time, I mean, I've seen videos of Elon Musk saying, look, it would take like a few thousand acres of solar to power like the entire United States. Like, when you look at so I drive a Tesla, right? So like, am I doing something good for the environment? Yes, but you know why? Because I have solar on my roof.
On top
if I
of
didn't
that.
have solar on my roof, I wouldn't be doing any favors for the environment because the energy that I get into my house from the grid is generated from fossil fuels.
Yeah.
And it costs more to generate the electricity that I use to power a Tesla than more fuel. So it's not like a net benefit. It's not a net benefit unless you have a renewable energy source. And
Right.
so,
We got deserts, and we could use deserts for that.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So I think that inflation, okay, go back to inflation, right? Inflation, interest rates. What is it doing to the real estate economy? Well, inventory is so low, and real estate is a asset that people put their money into to hedge from inflation. And so
Well,
people are flocking to real estate right now, and there's not
It's
enough
one
homes
of the
to sell.
three basics: food, water, shelter.
It is, indeed.
And that's where we're in problem. Where our problem is we have more people seeking shelter than we have shelter available for the people who are seeking it.
But let's take it back a step there. I don't disagree with you. So food, water, shelter. But the shelter piece of it makes people a lot of money because it's tied to a tradable security,
Sure,
right?
sure.
And it's made people a lot of money. So people go, well, we want to put our money in it because they can just pay rent. I mean, they're not going to if they don't buy a house, they're not going to be on the streets. They just have to pay rent, which they're throwing money away or paying somebody else.
Make it a landlord rich.
Totally, which a lot of people do, right?
Awesome
a lot of
for the landlord.
Awesome for the landlord, but the shelter piece of it, I agree with you. But I think one of the driving factors is people had all that cash from last year, not just from the stimulus, but the market was improving pretty well.
Yeah.
Like we've been coming out of the pandemic, people were making money, people have access to cash. As a lender, I see a lot of cash in the market right now.
Oh, I do too.
Even with
Stupid
people,
crash.
Yeah,
Cash.
I've got clients that don't make a lot of money, and they'll call me like, "I got 80 grand," and I'm going, "Where did you get 80 grand?"
Yeah.
And I know how much they make. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they got their hands on it one way or another. I mean, I don't ask a lot of questions. I go, "Great, here's your pre-approval letter. Go buy a house." But there's a lot of cash in the market. So what are people going to do with cash when their cash is devaluing at like 7.5% every single month? Well, they're going to hedge that by buying assets that don't go down in value, right?
Well, and the other thing is, it's like when you buy a house, I'll never forget, one of my most favorite clients, God rest her soul, came to me probably 10, 11 years ago and said, I want to lock in my house payment for the rest of my life.
Nice.
I've been living in the same place for 22 years. I've been renting it. She goes, I'm retiring. I want to lock in my house payment for the rest of my life. So we got her a little 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, super cute. in Concord, and she unfortunately got cancer probably 6 or 7 years. I know it was heartbreaking because she was a cancer nurse.
Oh.
And I was like, that's just wrong, you know. Anyway, but in truth, she locked in her payment, and her payment for the rest of her life, because she was smart, was $865.
That's amazing. Good job.
You know, huh?
Good job.
And then, you know, I sold it, and her kids got to, you know, one put in a pool, the other one became a schoolie.
No, this is good. It's a hedge against inflation because you're going to make money on the property, but also, like Val says, your payment's not going to go up. Your property taxes will go up incrementally, and your insurance will, but like overall, your payment's going to remain relatively static. It's very minor the movements that'll happen, and to conceptualize this for people, I always just ask my clients. I go, well, would you like to be paying the same rent that you were paying 5 years ago? And everybody goes, oh yeah, I would love that. Okay, great. Well, if you buy a house, that's how it's going to be. In 5 years, you're going to go the same rent payment,
it's
right?
the same rent.
Yeah. So if you feel like you're stretching a budget a little bit, but you can afford it, make it work, because the payment's not going to go up. And if you continue to rent, it will go up.
It will, guaranteed.
And you're not getting the tax benefits, you know, like you do when you own a home. So obviously, we're home advocates. We make money by selling people houses, but we believe in it, you know, for multiple reasons. I mean, the fundamentals are there. The fundamentals show homeowners, people that own homes, are more wealthy than people that don't own homes, you know, over a long period of time. Like that is the key to wealth is homeownership.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's why I love helping people own, you know, buy homes.
And that's how, you know, and there comes a point where it's like, you know, I know people that are like, well, I refinanced it to a 15, but I only owe 7 more years. Should I, you know, refinance it to a, you know, and I'm like, no, just double up on the payments.
Or do a long 30-year fixed mortgage. I mean, so there's two thoughts on that, right?
Right.
So when rates are low, like they are now, like when rates are below the rate of inflation, and you get a write-off on it, I'm a big advocate for 30-year mortgage payments because you can do better things with your money. You know, you can make more money on your money than it costs to borrow it, right? So I'm a big advocate for keeping your payments low, freeing up your income to use for, you know, investments, retirement, you know, other things. I'm not against the whole idea of doubling up, though. I mean, some people want to get rid of their payment, and that's very important to them.
Well, you know, it's like in my case, it's like, you know, I'm not young, so I'm looking at getting rid of my payment so that, you know, I have in retirement no house payment.
Yeah.
You know, but that won't happen if you rent.
No, it won't.
It won't. So, and it's like you know, it's funny. I was thinking about a situation where I was working on a deal, and this is probably 11 years ago, and it was like we wrote the contract, I think at $250. This is how long ago it was, and we were $5,000 off, and the listing agent was a friend of mine, and was like, all you need to do is come up $5,000. That's all you need to do. The exact model match just sold. And remember I said $250, we needed to come $255? Just sold for $6 something. And it's like, and that buyer never bought and over $5,000. So $5,000 essentially cost her $400,000. Just think about it that way.
She's still renting?
Yep. Ouch.
Ouch, that's a burn.
Yeah, that's a bad burn.
Yeah,
it's like,
and honestly, it's the key to unlocking generational wealth too. I mean, if your parents owned houses, you're likely better off than if they didn't. Not likely, you are better off than if they didn't.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And your kids will be better off. You know, that's why I love helping people become homeowners, especially when they come from a family that's not owned homes and is poor. And we've helped a lot of people do that.
Well, you know, my dad sold a house in Fremont and decided to rent in retirement. He sold the house for $74,000. The house just turned over for 1.2.
Yeah, I mean, can't go back in time, right? So what can you do today to make a good decision for you and your family is go buy a house. And talk to us because we can help you.
And we'll get it right for you.
And I would just say, you know, we try and cut through all the noise and confusion. I mean, we're in the middle of a war. We're not in the war, but there's a major war going on that's dominating news cycles. Markets are reacting to that. Things are changing. There's a lot of concern that the sky is going to fall. And really, when it comes down to it, it's so important that you have a really good team in your corner, a good real estate agent, a good lender, when it comes to your home search. Not only to negotiate your deal, find your home, but just give you good advice. I mean, I've seen so many people go off the deep end because they got bad advice, they were led down the wrong direction, they overspent, they bought a house that wasn't good for their family's needs financially or for other reasons, and it's like
get the right house.
We look at all those things, and we're really invested in our clients and in their well-being and in their future, and we're ethical. It's so important to be ethical.
Yeah.
We run into people in our business that are unethical every single day, and it's just like so frustrating to see.
It's painful.
And you've got to watch out for that because you can make a lot of money practicing real estate and doing home loans, and so there's a lot of opportunity for people to attract bad people with bad character, and it's so important to work with people with good character and good ethics, and to give you good advice.
And fun to party with.
I believe that good people deserve good advice. And that's kind of a motto, right? Because like Valerie says, she has what are your rules for your clients? Don't be a dick, and right? We always say don't be a dick, but she likes to help nice people.
People realize their real estate goals.
Exactly.
That's it. So and it's if you're nice, I'm going to help you get there.
Absolutely, very dedicated to that. So thank you for tuning in today. I think that pretty much covers it, right?
Yeah. Don't be a dick.
FJP, FVP. We can FM too. And have a good weekend.
All right, peace out.
Bye. That was good.